a back-to-back Cy Young with the chance to go three-peat, which has only been done a handful of times in MLB history. Tarik Skubal is pure domination. I mean, the guy is reaching triple digits on his sinker and fastball. Changeup is absolutely lethal, but Tarik Skubal is just everything you want in a pitcher. The mechanics, everything is so sound. Now, Paul Skeens, new guy in the block and the NL MVP in just his second year. That is obviously the case where they are neck and neck. Right? Obviously, call me a little bit biased, but the guy has the awards. He's got the arbitration. He's got the money. So if he's going to walk, he can do the talk. But Paul Skeens is just unbelievable.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Johnny Kane, your host here on Open Mic. We have covered some ground on the show already. Obviously, college basketball, NHL trade deadline, WNBA labor negotiations, and now we talk baseball. And honestly, what could possibly be better? The World Baseball Classic, the WBC, is currently underway. Major League Baseball gets underway later this month. And obviously the beauty of spring training is the fact that everybody starts with a clean slate. That's always been the case. Some teams know where they're going to be or they figure where they might factor in. But the beauty is that everybody starts with a clean slate and the optimism is never higher. The question is, it's not necessarily how you start the season. The grind of 162 games is just that. And so sometimes teams will get off to a hot start, taper off in the middle, and then fall out of the pack. The hope this year is that the Tigers are able to sustain, some continuity from the start of the season in March and run that thing all the way into October. That would be the beauty of it all. But everybody is going to be chasing the Los Angeles Dodgers, and for good reason. Let's check in now with our friend of the show and rising sportscaster Cooper Schoenberg from Indiana University for his Major League Baseball season preview.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SportsCaster. Cooper Schoenberg here, and today it's me. I'm riding solo, lone wolfing it, and we're going to be going over the MLB. Spring has sprung, spring forward. Lost a little bit of sleep this weekend, but we're feeling pretty dang good. And what easier to talk about in the MLB than the juggernaut, the powerhouse, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, right now, the WBC going on, and a lot of players from various teams competing from all around the world, where you got Venezuela, you got Panama, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and of course, USA. Everybody looking good, having some fun. But as spring training's wrapping up and this baseball classic is coming to an end, trying to look forward a little bit to the regular season. And just one thing on my mind, in most people's mind, who can take down the Dodgers? And right now, I can't confidently say anybody. Where teams like this, powerhouses, where you had the Warriors back in, 2015, 16, 17, then they get better and they get Kevin Durant. Now, going a little bit ahead and jumping the gun, but now the Dodgers, where you think maybe they're going to digress and get a little bit worse, they go ahead and they get Kyle Tucker. Now, I'm not calling Kyle Tucker Kevin Durant, who's one of the greatest scorers in the NBA, but one of the best hitters in the MLB to go along with arguably the best hitter in the MLB. And if you look at their lineup from top to bottom, it's just Will Smith, all-star catcher, Freddie Freeman, Hall of Fame, all-star first baseman, Tommy Edman, Max Muncy, Andy Pages, all solid. And then you have Mookie Betts, Hall of Famer, Teoscar Hernandez, one of the best power hitters in the league, Kyle Tucker, arguably Hall of Famer because he's probably going to get another ring with this Dodgers team. And then you have the best player in the MLB, the undisputed MVP, Shohei Ohtani, who's getting it done on both ends of the ball, pitching and batting. And right now, I just cannot confidently say that anybody can take them down, especially not in the NL where, the Padres are fun and the Cubs, bring on Bregman and you have PCA and, Seiya Suzuki and you got a couple fun guys. Well, you just lost Kyle Tucker, who was arguably your most consistent and best hitter last year. And a team like the Brewers, who, correct me if I'm wrong, finished number one in the NL going into the postseason, they digress, losing a couple of their players. Now, you still have really strong pieces in Contreras and Turang and Uribe, but Freddie Peralta walking and going to the Mets and all these other guys leaving, where it's the Dodgers are still there. And I just ranted about the hitting. Well, you got the World Series MVP, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's already a seasoned vet, where if you're able to do that in your first postseason run, you are a DAWG dog. Okay, then you got Snellzilla. Don't forget Shohei Ohtani's pitching. And it's just these guys like Tyler Glasnow and Emmett Sheehan who are their fourth and fifth guys. Well, Glass now, is always in the running for what seems to be a Cy Young. I mean, just a 6'7" monster who was killing it with the Rays, comes to LA and just absolutely dominates. Yes, they're injury prone, but they go deep. Now, where they digress a little bit is, Tanner Scott, Alex Vesia, Jack Dreyer in the bullpen, not too great, but then they go out and they get a prolific closer in Edwin Diaz. This team is really scary. And now I'm going to keep all the bias out of it. Obviously, I like to talk Red Wings and Lions and Tigers and Pistons. Do I think the Tigers could take them down in the World Series? No, probably not, because we have a lot of holes, way more holes in the hitting department than they do, where our bullpens kind of match up well. Do I love Skubal? Do I love Framber Valdez and Job and Olsen and Mize and Jackie Fla? Yes, I absolutely love it. But to compete against the City of Angels, the Los Angeles Dodgers, it is just too tough of a task. But who took us down in the ALDS and came up just short of making a World Series appearance? I think the Seattle Mariners can be a very, very sneaky team. Now, just going down the depth chart, I don't want to sound like a monotone broken record, but Logan Gilbert is great. Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Brian Wu, and Bryce Miller. That is arguably the greatest starting rotation in all of baseball, with one of the best closers in Andreas Munoz. And going down, you have the best catcher in baseball, Cal Raleigh, home run leader just a year ago. Josh Naylor, phenomenal pickup at the deadline. So, you got a lot of hitters, and Julio Rodriguez, who is on his way to being a Hall of Famer, where kind of this number one prospect, I like to call him a little bit of a Luka Doncic, always teetering that MVP talk, never able to quite grasp such a prestigious award, but he is always just so good. J.P. Crawford, unbelievable in the field. And then you got Brendan Donovan, Randy Arozarena, Luke Raley, Dominic Canzone, who was big in the hitting department against the Tigers. I remember just getting absolutely crushed watching that, whatever it was, 20,000th inning, game 5 to march them on to the ALCS. But they are a team that is very, very sneaky and could potentially, if those two teams meet in the World Series, where I really just don't see anyone dethroning the king that is the LA Dodgers, they could potentially take them down. Rainy City, Seattle Mariners, definitely a team to keep your eye on. Now, looking forward and ahead, right, we're not just going to talk about will the Dodgers three-peat and who can beat LA. I want to talk about the best pitcher in baseball, because where I just kind of had to, I'm not going to say crap talk my Tigers. Let's hype up the man, the myth, the legend. It's Tarik Skubal. It's that simple. And I get that the MLB is divided into two, conferences, divisions, two leagues, the AL and the NL. But it's pretty clear cut and dry. I mean, a back-to-back Cy Young with the chance to go three-peat, which has only been done a handful of times in MLB history. Tarik Skubal is pure domination. I mean, the guy is reaching triple digits on his sinker and fastball. Changeup is absolutely lethal. And in the game against Great Britain just a couple days ago, first pitch leaves a hanger. We've seen that happen a couple times, but everything after that was just absolutely flawless. I think it was 2 hits from there on out, 5 Ks through 3 innings, and they go on to win. And that was the only run that led up the entire game. A dominating win for Team USA. Got to have some American pride. But Tarik Skubal is just everything you want in a pitcher. The mechanics, everything is so sound. Now, Paul Skeens, new guy in the block and the NL MVP in just his second year. That is obviously the case where they are neck and neck. Right? Obviously, call me a little bit biased, but the guy has the awards. He's got the arbitration. He's got the money. So if he's going to walk, he can do the talk. But Paul Skeens is just unbelievable. The shaping of his pitches. He's got Livy Dunn by his side. Pittsburgh's, the Pirates, they got a good farm system where Tigers and McGonigal and Max Clark and Joe Zubracino and Theron Raisin, we're looking pretty good, but this Pirates team is looking really fun and special, and Skeens is going to be there and there to fear for a long time coming. So right now, I think it's, where the Dodgers are the best team. It's who are the 2 best pitchers in the MLB. It's Skubal, it's Skeens. It's pretty clear, cut, and dry. And finally, who will be the AL and NL MVP in 2026? I mean, I just sound like such a broken record where we're talking about the repeat in the Cy Youngs and the repeat in the World Series winners. And now you got a back-to-back in both the AL and NL last year with Judge and Shohei. With the NL, I really cannot see anybody taking it away from that man. It's just the fact that he can be such a dominating pitcher, reaching triple digits, coming off a pretty lengthy surgery, Shohei just looks unbelievable. And in the batting department, I mean, it's the steals, it's the home runs, the ribbies, the average. You got to give it to Shohei for a third time. I'm sorry. It's just what it is. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But in the AL, you got a lot of guys that can get it done. And I'm trying to think what I really want, though I do not like the team. I do love the player, and he is a pain in my, not going to say it, this is a child-friendly show, but he is just such a pain to play against, where they take us down in the ALDS 2 years ago. We get our revenge in the wild card, but Jose Ramirez, what this guy can do, everybody says it, so now you almost can't say it, but he is, without a doubt, the most underrated player in the MLB, a clear-cut and dry best third baseman in the MLB. He will be a Hall of Famer, always batting above 300, and if I think he can just take that extra leap in RBIs and home runs, he could dethrone a guy like Judge. Now, a tough task at that. But other than that, I think it's one of those things where Cal Raleigh had such an unbelievable season last year. Can he replicate it? I definitely don't think so with the magnitude that he had and all those home runs. It was very special and cool to watch. I think he's going to take a little bit of a step down because it's a really tough act to follow. But Jose Ramirez, sneaky, sprinkle a little bit of it on the DK futures. Need the sponsor, please. But give me Jose Ramirez. Let me be different in the AL MVP talk. And, of course, one more time, Shohei Ohtani. But that's all the time I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this MLB segment. I hope that I get proven wrong, that somebody comes out, shocks the world, takes down the back-to-back champ Dodgers. But until then, we'll just see how these predictions play out. Once again on SportsCaster.com, Cooper Schoenberg. You're listening to WJR. Hopefully you enjoyed the show.
I mean, is this kid good? Cooper Schoenberg. The only thing is we just got to get him out of his shell a little bit. He's plugged in, he's opinionated, and he backs it up with his research. And there's a lot to consider. I brought up a lot of good points. It's hard to find fault in how the Dodgers have gone about their business in building, an absolute monster. But in baseball, again, over the course of 162, anything's possible. LA is going to be wearing that tag from day one, the target. Tigers are coming off back-to-back playoff runs. They're not coming up, they're not going to surprise anybody, but they're looking to take that next step, compete in an LCS and ideally a World Series. So we can hardly wait to get it going, but we're going to have to wait just a couple of more weeks. Tigers open the season in San Diego in 2 weeks. That's Thursday, March the 26th. The home opener is going to be on Friday, April 3rd against the St. Louis Cardinals, which will be fun. I know I'll be there. I hope many of you will be there. And I know we'll all be watching all season long as the Tigers, on paper, have the makings of being a legitimate American League contender here in 2026. Our thanks to SportsCaster.com's Cooper Schoenberg for his MLB capsule, to Ethan Pavey for his March Madness predictions, to Noah Shamami for his Red Wings trade deadline recap, and to Emily Wisniewski for her take on fashion and the impact of social media in women's sports. I'm Johnny Kane with SportsCaster.com. Be sure to check out the website if you'd like to hear more. And we look forward to having you back next week at 8 o'clock on Open Mic. Until then, Godspeed.